Welcome to Cult Film School. Class is in session. We're your hosts, Adrian, that's me, and Dion.
That's me.
That's you. In this episode titled 1990's Erotic Thrillers, we are discussing the sweat-drenched, saxophone-scored, moral, flexible world of 1990's erotic thrillers. But Dion.
Yes?
We are not getting steamy and unstable alone today.
We're not?
This episode's topic and movie picks comes to us from the twisted, film-obsessed, wonderful mind of our special guest, a longtime watching buddy of mine and fellow physical media enthusiast, Dion.
Yay.
Cult Film School's personal deviant in residence, Mr. Scott Glover.
Yay.
Scott, welcome to the show.
I can't wait to get sweat and drenched with these movies with you guys.
Oh, it's going to get sweaty.
Oh, it's going to get real sweaty, real dirty.
What did you think of that title I gave you?
Oh, I loved it.
The Cult Film School's personal deviant in residence.
Feels very fitting, so and it puts a smile on my face. I'm very happy.
Okay, now, before the three of us get erotic like it's 1993, let us remind you, lovely degenerates listening, to stay subscribed, follow us on social media, and check out our letterbox for spicy little write-ups on the films we cover. And if you haven't yet, pop that podcast cherry by leaving us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Say something nice, say something weird, say anything with John Cusack.
Good movie.
In your eyes. Okay, so Scott, welcome.
Welcome.
Thanks so much for having me, guys.
Like I said in that little intro, you're one of my longtime movie watching buds. We actually we worked at a video store together.
Fabulous Flicks, back in the day.
Fabulous Flicks.
Mm-hmm.
That was the name of the store.
Sounds fabulous.
I was like the last one hired from like our like friend group, but I remember, I think my first memory of Scott is you mentioning that you were going as Buffalo Bill for Halloween.
Yes, and I did.
And I was like, oh, I got to talk to that guy.
And I think I showed you pictures too of my costume, no?
There were pictures, yeah.
I bought this wig, okay, with this straggly hair, kind of like Buffalo Bill. And I remember just cutting, literally, the face out just to have some of the skin. And I put little bits of, the Halloween blood just on the edges of it, just to make it look like I had sort of taken someone's face and sort of cut it with a knife. It was definitely something. So I don't know if everyone loved it, but I certainly had a great time going as him and making that costume. So that was fun.
Lots of lotion.
Lots of lotion. Put the lotion in the fucking basket.
You weren't trick-or-treating in that costume, right?
Hell no. Although, if I could and get away with it, I would. But no, I was going to a Halloween party. Scantily clad, wearing that outfit.
Yeah, so that's where we met people who weren't working. We'd all meet up after whoever was working a shift that night, and we'd go to someone's house and we'd watch movies from the store.
Yeah.
I remember the very first one, or the one that I went to. It was at your place, Scott. Do you remember the very first movie you showed me?
I feel like there's so much crazy shit that I've always wanted to show you. It wasn't like The Stuff, was it? I feel like The Stuff would be sort of prime material. Ooh, Society? I know I showed you Society as well.
No. I mean, you've shown me these films, but the very first one I remember was Blue Sunshine.
Oh, right. Yes. That was a great little indie horror. I love that movie so much. That was a crazy movie, actually. Very crazy movie.
That was the beginning. Have you seen that one, Dion?
I haven't actually, but it's on my radar and probably on my shelf as well.
You should check it out.
Yeah, no, I have a recent Synapse version of it, but I haven't watched it yet.
I also have it. It looks gorgeous. Check it out for sure. Yeah, director of Squirm. I don't know if you guys saw that. Worms taking over this small town because of this storm, and all these power lines go jutting into the earth, sending all this electrical currents and making the worms go crazy, and then they attack people and eat them. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, you showed me that movie.
Cheesy as hell, but so much fun.
Yeah, it's with the stars that guy that was Pacino's friend in Cruising, right?
Yeah. I can't remember his name, but he became like a director, and I know he directed like a bunch of 30 Rock with Tina Fey and Don Scardino.
Don Scardino, yeah.
That's his name.
Yeah, he directed Burt Wonderstone. I don't know why I know that, but
oh, that's so random.
I know. So, this is another kind of connection with Scott and Dion. Okay, so we talked about Robin Wood back when we did an episode on Robin Wood.
Yes.
I mentioned in that episode that, actually, I don't know if I mentioned this and we cut it, but whatever. So Robin, he would burn discs of the movies that he would also show us, and he would let us take copies home. And I remember like giving Scott you those movies so that you were watching what we were watching in queer cinema with Robin Wood.
Which was such a treat. I mean, I love that. And it sort of introduced me to, a lot of stuff that I've never even heard of before, especially a lot of, gay sort of erotic dramas from, the 90s and early 2000s. Really great stuff in there, I remember. I actually think I still have a couple copies that you gave me.
Yeah, I remember you really liked Wild Reeds.
Yes, I thought that was a terrific movie. Yeah, great coming of age film.
But yeah, out of all the movies Robin showed us, Cruising was the only one I had seen prior because Pacino.
What a shock there, right?
But yeah, so that's another connection. And you guys have met before, right?
Yes.
Yeah, many years ago, I was just trying to, picking Adrian's brain a while ago. I do have strong memories of meeting you, but it must have been 15, 20 years ago, like very, very long.
Yes.
I remember walking with you guys, and I think you were living downtown.
Yes.
I remember you showing me your apartment. And even then, I remember just being so taken aback by all the movies you had. I was just like, this is literally amazing. It's like your own personal movie store.
It's better or worse now?
I've seen pictures and I love it. I love it. But I just know myself, I would be there for hours, just like going through everything. I would just absolutely love it. It's amazing. I bow down to you.
It's a hobby.
Oh, it is. Yeah, it is.
It was like 15 years ago. Yeah, that's when Dion's collection was in a room.
Yeah, no,
I know. Adrian's like, oh, that's small compared to what it's like now. It makes my collection look like child's play.
Scott's got a decent collection. Like next to Dion, Scott, your collection's it's more impressive than mine.
It's a lot of like sort of, I don't want to say like deep cuts, but more a lot of cults. I guess sort of some deep cuts actually as well, right? But I've definitely gotten a little bit more sort of picky in terms of a lot of the things that I'll pick up. But I still love collecting.
COVID and boutique labels have just exploded with these deep cuts.
Big time.
I can't not take a chance. It might be the best movie I've never seen.
Absolutely.
As a result, the library has, I don't know, doubled, tripled probably in size in the last 5 years.
That's amazing.
Yeah, you probably haven't seen 2/3 of the films that you actually own.
Oh no, that's very, very safe. Yeah. But as long as there's power, I'll be able to watch stuff until whenever. But
I love the fact that all these studios are just bringing out just countless stuff. I mean, stuff that I'm so nostalgic for. I mean, stuff that, either I haven't seen since I was a kid or I just hadn't seen at all. But I remember a lot of the poster art, a lot of these actors that I really loved growing up. And it's just I'm just so like warmed to the fact that some of these labels like Kino Lorber or Vinegar Syndrome, Severin, all these companies are sort of releasing a lot of this amazing stuff. Not obviously all of it's amazing, but there's a lot of great stuff in there for sure. Good time to be a collector.
That's another thing you guys have in common. Well, I mean, I watch movies with both of you, but Scott, you mentioned like Vinegar Syndrome, Severin, Kino Lorber. You are the only two people in my circle that know what those things are. So
yeah,
there's that.
Same. I can't talk to anybody about it other than you. It's hard. They kind of look at me like, tunnel vision. And I'm like, it's okay. Never mind. I'll wait till I talk to Adrian.
I have to keep telling my wife in the event of my death to not just liquidate everything because
I will gladly help her with your estate.
And most of this stuff too, Adrian, when I'm not with you, I have nobody else to watch this stuff with. So it's such a joy, the fact that we're still able to sort of get together and watch a lot of this stuff. It's so funny. My boyfriend, it's not uncommon. I will be having something on. He will kind of just sort of pop in the room, look at the screen, look at my face, look back at the screen, look at me again, and just sort of shake his head and laugh and kind of just walk out. And I'm just like, I like what I like.
That's basically me here with my wife. Yeah, it's like, she enjoys that I enjoy it. She tolerates it, but she does not need to be in any orbit of it.
Yeah.
Which is why on the odd time that there's something from one of these labels mainstream enough, like we watched Sliver together.
Oh, okay. Nice.
But, like what was the other one we watched? We also watched Tough Guys Don't Dance.
Oh, yeah.
I think it was last year together. it's funny to get her reactions, right? Because, like, hasn't dipped a toe into this weird stuff, has no interest in it. And so it's like, I don't know how to tell you that I love this stuff.
Yeah, you either get it or you don't. And the people who don't are always like, what the fuck are you guys watching? I don't get it. And it's like, that's okay. You don't need to get it. You have your thing. I have my thing. We're all happy.
And yeah, like, I have a library. I don't need to go out anymore. It's good.
And you don't.
No, I don't. It's good.
It makes doing the podcast with you way more convenient. Like, between the two of you, you guys are always showing me new stuff I don't need to own necessarily. Speaking of, this might be a good segue. The two films we're talking about today, Dion and Scott. Scott, we watched both of these together. I think you introduced me to both of these films.
Mm-hmm.
Sliver from 1993 and The Crush, also from 1993.
Ironically enough, I think they only came out like just over a month apart from each other, which is so strange.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, when I came to you with the films, I actually completely forgot that they were both 93. Although unsurprisingly enough, the erotic thriller boom kind of just sort of came to a head between 92 and 93, right? But I was like, oh yeah, they came out literally in the same year, like almost a month apart from each other, which is so funny.
I hadn't seen either of them because, Vinegar Syndrome just put out Sliver. So we watched that release. Who put out The Crush?
I think that was a Shout Factory.
Shout.
Yeah. That's been out for a few years, I think, now.
Scott, what's your history with these films or the 1990s erotic thriller?
Yeah, well, I guess I'll quickly start with The Crush. So The Crush, I used to watch that all the time. It was on cable. I think a lot of the times I watched it on TBS, the Superstation, if you guys remember that.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Back in like the 90s and early 2000s. For whatever reason, they always used to have that movie on Sunday afternoons. And I remember watching it Sunday afternoons. Of course, completely cut to shit. Not that there was much nudity in the film at all, but, mostly just cut for language. But I do also remember too, and this is actually kind of bring me back, that there actually were some deleted scenes, I think just to sort of fill in some gaps, just to sort of make the running time a little bit longer. Not that they really added like anything to the actual film, but I do remember certain scenes going on just for a little bit longer, with the TV cut. And I think that was something a lot that they were kind of doing back in the day was these like, TV cuts, editing for content and kind of just trying to sort of pad out the running time for some of these movies. But I love The Crush. I loved how campy it was. I loved how trashy it was. I loved how sleazy it was. I loved it so much to the point where I ended up buying a VHS copy. And it was the second video cassette that I've ever owned.
Oh, really?
First one I ever owned was T2, Terminator 2. Like, I'm sure most people probably own that as well back in the day. But the other interesting thing about The Crush 2 was the copy that I have. I'm sure we'll discuss this a lot later. So it stars Alicia Silverstone. Her character's original name was Darian. And the VHS copy that I had actually had her original name in it. Later, that name was changed to Adrian. But yeah, so that was sort of my history with The Crush. Sliver was more, was on the coattails of Basic Instinct. That was one of my favorite films in the 90s. Still one of my favorite films of the 90s. Such a terrific film. Kind of blew up Sharon Stone. And I feel like I kind of just wanted to watch everything that she was in following it. Sliver was the first film that she did coming off of Basic Instinct. And I know that she was offered a bunch of stuff and she kept turning things down and was sort of lobbying for a couple roles, but that never really panned out. But, I knew that it kind of reunited her with Joe Esterhaus, who was the writer of Basic Instinct. And I was like, ooh, another erotic thriller. I wonder if this is going to be just as titillating and sexy as Basic Instinct. Well, spoiler or not, it was and it wasn't in a lot of ways, but
we'll get there.
We'll absolutely get there. Yeah. But no, this is a rental for sure. This was like a, pulling on my dad's arm. Please, can you rent this for me? And wait till your mom goes to bed or wait till your mom's not looking, then you can watch it. So I guess that was sort of my history with both these films. Trashy fun all the way around.
So with that, we're going to peel back the blinds and get dangerously close. It's time to get hot. It's time to get heavy and a little bit unhinged with Sliver and The Crush. This is 1990's Erotic Thrillers.
Here at Cult Film School, we only have one rule, and that is to do your homework before coming to class. Please watch these two films in advance. Otherwise, beware of spoilers.
Okay. Sliver. So here we go.
Well, we're in for a ride.
If you go on IMDb, the plot of this movie is as stated. A book editor has an affair with a high-tech voyeur in an exclusive Manhattan apartment building. What do you guys think?
I mean, that's kind of like a bare bones sort of synopsis. Obviously, there's a lot to it more than that. It gives you just sort of like a little snippet.
Gives you about half the plot.
Does it spoil the movie?
I don't think so.
Wait a minute. Wait. What was the thing about the tech?
Yeah, I think it does a little bit. Because, like, okay, so it says a book editor has an affair with a high-tech voyeur in an exclusive Manhattan.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah, that's the entire goddamn mystery, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's true.
I was like, yeah, she doesn't know what he's doing.
Like midway through the film, yeah.
She doesn't even know that he owns the building.
Because you don't find that out until like, the 40-something mark, I think, of the film, right? So about halfway through.
Yeah,
that's when you kind of discover that he's the one that's sort of peering into everyone's lives, right? Yeah, that's true. So yeah, it is spoilery then.
Yeah, because at first we're seeing like monitors of the other, apartments and stuff, but we don't know who's watching those monitors, right? So
that's true. That's very true, actually. Yeah, no, you are right.
In the plot, it's so obvious who it is. Naturally, it can't be that character.
Yeah.
And so it takes like an hour for us to figure out, oh, wait a minute, it is that character. Okay, as you were.
Well, I don't want us to get ahead of ourselves, but yeah, I mean, throughout this entire movie, it can only be one of two characters. But okay, before we kind of like dive into our thoughts on this film, let's talk about how Sliver is an erotic thriller, how well or not well it kind of fits the mold of the subgenre.
Hey, Adrian.
Yes, Dion.
What is an erotic thriller?
I don't know. Ask our guest. This is his episode.
Hey, Scott. What is an erotic thriller?
I think for me, especially with these movies, not necessarily so much The Crush, but, when you have things like Basic Instinct, like Sliver, Jade, there's definitely sort of a Hitchcockian mystery at the core of the film, right? So it usually opens up with a little bit of a stinger. You don't really sort of know until at least like the third act of the film. I think the eroticism comes from, well, not only certain sequences that have to do with the film, but I think a lot of the times it comes from like the plot dynamics as well. Whatever the screenwriter feels like, they need to either put these characters are in certain situations. With Basic Instinct, the Catherine Trammell character is like a sexual deviant. People don't really sort of fully understand her brand of kink, right? Similarly to Jade as well, she also sort of has this different sort of outlook on sex and sexuality that most other people do. So it almost becomes almost like this sort of taboo thing in a way. And it takes all these other characters into this dangerous, underground of kink and whips and chains. And it's really fascinating and interesting how that kind of plays itself out. But I don't know if I'm really answering your question per se, but I think for me, those are generally the staples, I think. What situations are the characters themselves in, the plot dynamics, the actual characters themselves. So that's what I think. How about you guys?
All I would throw in, actually, what I'll throw in at the start is there's a great documentary about this subgenre called We Kill for Love.
I watched it.
I need to see it.
If you're interested in the genre, like definitely check it out. It's, Adrian, you'd agree, it's a little long, but like definitely kind of like essential. You have the worldview of film noir, which is to say it's kind of pessimistic and dark and everything is broken and everyone's deceptive. And sometimes that takes the shape, as you're saying, of like thrillers and mysteries. But then you also have, obviously, that crossed with sexploitation, if not pornography.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have all the titillation of a sexploitation film in this kind of dark, broken world where you can't trust anyone because everyone is kind of duplicitous and everyone is kind of out for themselves and everyone has a second face.
Yeah.
The only other thing I would say is if you're a listener of Cult Film School, like we've talked about erotic thrillers before. We just never called them erotic thrillers. We did an episode, Hitchcock exploitation, where we talked about body double and special effects.
Amazing movies.
Yes. Yes. But like those films obviously indebted to Hitchcock, but like so is the erotic thriller. In some ways, it's like an evolution of noir. And in other ways, it's like this weird kind of no man's land between the sexual liberation of the 1970s and the rise of the internet in the 1990s. And it kind of occupies this weird space, which we're better for.
Yeah. When we did those two films, it's funny. Like Dion, you introduced me to Body Double, and Scott introduced me to special effects. That's so funny. But yeah, when we did those two films, we kind of focused on like the Hitchcock exploitation kind of aspect of them, not really the erotic thriller part.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did watch that documentary because Dion kind of made me. But it's good. It kind of goes over the erotic thriller genre. It kind of gives you a context for it. But its focus is more so on the direct-to-video market, which to be fair was dictated by whatever the big blockbusters were. But yeah, you asked me like, what's a 1990s erotic thriller? Like, I know what it's not. My favorite quote from that documentary, because it does stem from the film noir, essentially, right? Because in the film noir, we get the femme fatales and all that stuff, and it kind of that's where its genesis is. And then added with the Hitchcock, with the doppelgangers, obsession, voyeurism, perverse sex is Hitchcock too. But my favorite quote from that documentary is, "In film noir, you're fucked. In erotic thriller, you get to fuck."
That's very accurate.
That's what an erotic thriller is. But yeah, that documentary is great for kind of mapping out the hallmarks of the subgenre. So like for me, it kind of gave me a great context. And then the last half hour, unless you really like the Playboy channel, like you can skip.
Watching that doc reminded me of literally like a decade, a generation of films that, many of which don't exist anymore.
No. And that's another good aspect of that documentary is it kind of gives the context of how it kind of exited.
Yeah.
So we get film noir, we get the Hitchcock, and then it kind of states, and I kind of agree with it, Dress to Kill is the beginning of this whole thing.
Absolutely.
Which is 1980.
And is itself a Hitchcock clone.
But it has all the erotic thriller trope. It's kind of like the blueprint of what would become the 90s erotic thriller.
Yeah.
With like the surveillism, is that a word?
Surveillance?
Watching people.
Voyeurism.
Incompetent cops, the sexual consequence to everything.
That sex is dangerous.
Yes.
That is a fundamental tenet.
Oh, yeah. Big time.
If everything in noir is about, like, we can't trust everything, you can trust one thing in these goddamn films, and that sex is dangerous. Sex will get you killed.
And, of course, with the rise in AIDS, too.
Yeah.
I mean, that played a huge undercurrent with a lot of these films, too. Well into the 90s as well.
Yeah. Okay, so I think that's enough context, right, for our listeners?
Yeah, good. I just wanted to kind of, because the whole episode is about erotic thrillers, I thought we should just name it.
Oh no, it's totally fair. So now that we kind of understand what an erotic thriller is, Sliver, how does it fit that mold?
Scott?
Well, I mean, I can answer my question, but I'm asking you guys.
Yeah, I think it fits its mold. I mean, the whole film is about voyeurism. Whether or not they sort of really do that kind of justice sort of leaves up to the viewer.
No, I don't. I think they don't.
Exactly. Well, that's why I said, because I wish that they would go deeper into that, but it does hinge on that, right? It hinges on the, obsession, the mystery. There's those aspects that I really love, about this film, though, despite that it is such a horrible mess, but you have the titillation of Sharon Stone in a completely different role compared to Basic Instinct. I actually kind of like her in this film. I don't know about you guys. I mean, she sort of shows her chops a little bit more, I guess, as an actor compared to Basic Instinct, only in that she's kind of the femme fatale in Basic Instinct. In this, she's a little bit more repressed and buttoned up, and she shows like a vulnerability compared to that. But the rest of the cast itself is a little not as good.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Voyeurism is definitely the central theme of this film. Mm-hmm. So that's part of the erotic thriller. And then you mentioned like Sharon Stone playing the femme fatale.
Yes.
Her role in Basic Instinct kind of cemented her as the femme fatale icon of the 90s.
Yes.
This was her follow-up. Same writer, as you said. I would argue this film takes the femme fatale and like flips it.
Mm.
So in Sliver, she's playing like a naive outsider, and then she's slowly drawn into this dangerous world. Mm-hmm. So it's like there's a twist on the archetype, because she's still within her relationship with, well, both men, she still holds a sexual power, but her transformation it's more passive. So to me, it's kind of doing a flip with that femme fatale role, with her going from Basic Instinct to this film.
Yeah. It is interesting because she does have that power, but I think it's more sort of the physicality, because I remember at the beginning of this film, they don't really dive deep into it too much, but you learn that aside from her being a book editor, she's a divorcee. So she came out of this broken marriage. We don't really know sort of what caused it. So she's clearly vulnerable and sort of broken from that marriage. But I think she does have this effervescent beauty to her that just draws men in. So both, the William Baldwin, right? It's William Baldwin?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, he also goes by Billy.
Yeah, Billy Baldwin, yeah. And the Tom Berenger. So, they're both almost two different sides of the coin. Yes, we learned that one's the killer, but to be honest, all the men in her life in this movie are pieces of shit. Like, they're both garbage human beings.
Yes. Yeah.
Horrible.
This film is Sabrina, but with two perverts, right? Which one will she pick?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Which one?
I know.
We have a tagline.
the lesser of two evils?
No, as soon as I watched it, I was like, oh yeah, I've seen this film before.
Yeah.
All I would say though is, and again, this comes from that We Kill for Love doc. One of the other things they highlight, and I think they actually have clips from Sliver to illustrate this, is there's another strain in this subgenre, or another inspiration rather, of the gothic romance. A film to illustrate this would be something like Hitchcock's Rebecca, where you've got, I don't know what you'd call them, like a virginal, pure, good female who kind of enters this mysterious world with overbearing, overarching kind of male antagonists that are also potential love interests. And she has to kind of Rebecca literally is overcoming the ghost of the woman that was there before, who was a doppelganger. It's so like that thing as well, that it doesn't flip the femme fatale, because she isn't a femme fatale in Sliver, right? She is like the exact opposite.
But she holds sexual power. That was my point.
Oh yeah, no, totally. Yes. But that power is not malicious.
No.
That power is not to kind of manipulate until you get to the very end, right?
Yes.
But even then, at that point, it's done for self-defense, right? And at that point, it's done against the character we know is morally corrupted, So it's like, oh, that's okay. She can kick that guy in the nuts because he deserves it.
Or just tell him to get a life. That's enough.
Get a life. Oh my God.
It's like a 90s ending, that film. It's so funny.
Yeah, so for our listeners, she's in this building called Sliver, and she's got these two potential love interests, one played by Tom Berenger, who's a writer that lives in her building, and the other is William Baldwin, young, attractive guy who ends up is the owner of the building, and we find out he's the one that's watching people. He's got this surveillance room, so he's got cameras in all the apartments, and some of the tenants are dying off mysteriously one by one, just so our listeners understand what we're talking about. But yeah, so we got the voyeurism, we got the femme fatale, we got the murder mystery, we got the sexuality. These are all part of the erotic thriller.
I have a question about this murder mystery thing. Okay, at the very end of the film, I'm going to jump there. At the very end of the film, the mystery is revealed. Oh my God, who's the killer? Not only does it arrive like a wet fart, but at that point, literally my first question, I think I asked this to my wife when we watched, I was like, who killed the professor?
That is answered in the original ending.
Well, I didn't see the original ending. I saw the theatrical one, or whatever the hell, the unrated one. Whatever was on the 4K, it's the unrated version, right?
Yeah, it is the unrated, yeah. I think the only difference between that is just extended sex sequences. I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I've seen both cuts, and that's the only difference. The unrated / director's cut and the theatrical cut. Yeah, you need more of that sex.
Yeah. You can actually watch the original ending on YouTube, everyone. So if you are very curious about how this film originally ended and what was just panned by test audiences and they just didn't understand it and they didn't like it, you can watch it. It's very grainy, but I know that you can watch it on YouTube. Does it make a better ending? I don't think so personally.
No, I don't like either ending.
No.
So the original ending, bear with me because you're going to be like, wait, I don't get it. And neither do I. So they're in, Scott, help me out here. Okay. They're in the surveillance room and Sharon Stone's back is turned so she's not seeing on the screen. And on the screen we see it is William Baldwin who killed Gus, the old man professor, in the shower.
Yeah, but he also murdered the woman who used to live in Sharon Stone's apartment. So
yeah, so William Baldwin's the murderer.
Yeah, so there was a woman, I'm not sure if we really sort of talked about it. So I guess the stinger opening of the film, there's a woman, she's arriving back home late at night. She's on her balcony and looking out into the distance. And there's a person, an unknown person with a hood, who has a key, unlocks her door, lets themselves in. She turns around to sort of greet them. And I guess we're, as the audience, are led to believe, oh, okay, she knows who this person is. But seconds after, she's being sort of pushed, thrust over the top of the balcony, just plummeting to her death. And that woman, ironically enough, actually looks a lot like the Sharon Stone character in the film. They play up on that a lot too. Like, whereas, many people that she sort of meets who also lives in this building are like, oh my God, you look like so-and-so who used to live in your apartment. So that's also another really interesting kind of subplot that sort of doesn't really kind of go anywhere, What's that all about? I like... A lot of this film plays on red herrings and plays on these little sort of subplots that, if they were fleshed out, there's a lot of really interesting little nuances that are sort of going underneath the surface that are not like the A plot, but like the B and C and D plots of this film. With a better writer, a better script, I think this film has the potential to be very, very good. Going back to the ending, sorry, that was just me on a tangent. So yeah, the William Baldwin character apparently is obsessed with volcanoes. And, aside from him being the landlord of the building and a voyeur, apparently he's also into extreme sports. And it's what else can this guy not do wrong? They sort of put him on this pedestal of all these different things. It's just so absurd. But I know one of the comments that he made to her earlier on in the film, just before that real elongated sex sequence, is that he's always wanted to fly into a volcano just because it would be fun.
That's all we get in terms of his obsession with volcanoes.
That's all we get in the film. And then that's what they actually do in the end. So he takes her up into this helicopter. They basically almost go flying into the sunset into this volcano, and that's sort of how it ends. It's a very anticlimactic climax to the film, ending to the film, I should say. Would she actually allow that to happen? I think it makes her character look, sort of weak, especially with what sort of led up to that. So I feel as an audience, you're not really sort of rooting for her if you're supposed to be rooting for her the whole time. Yeah, I really didn't like that ending.
She would be totally morally complicit with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the murders.
Yeah, they go out of their way. Stupid subplot about the stepfather and the abuse of the teen daughter to be like, hey, no, surveillance is your friend. Hey, Big Brother, they're great because they can help stop crimes.
Yeah, they'll only go after bad people, they say.
It's so toothless, and it doesn't make any sense.
I think we've answered why it's an erotic thriller. Does this movie work? No. This is an interesting mess, but this movie is a fucking mess. But I just want to add a bit of flavor to that original ending. So it starts off in that surveillance room. We learn that he's the killer, but her back is turned. So it's not clear that she knows that he's the killer. He proposes to her. They get married on a rooftop. Then they're flying to the volcano, and she says that she's got the surveillance tapes of him being the killer. So she knows that he's the killer. He's like, well, what did you do with the tapes? She says she's got it in a safe space. Then they fly into a volcano, and it's left open. Did they die or not? And at that point, you're like, what the fuck am I watching?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a very nihilistic ending. Had it been done sort of differently, I think maybe what they're going for could be sort of interesting, just because it would be very much out of the norm in terms of what a mainstream studio would be doing, even at that time. But of course, people weren't impressed. I know studio executives weren't impressed. Audiences were not impressed either. So they went back into shooting. And apparently, I was reading too, Joe Esterhazy literally wrote pages upon pages upon pages as rewrite ending. And then the director filmed this, I think like a week or a week and a bit before the film was set to be released. So they rushed this thing back into production with a slap-on ending that's not nearly as, it's no better or worse as the original ending that we got. So it's sort of like when you watch the original, when you watch the theatrical, they both kind of just sort of fill in the space the same way to me. They're both disappointing.
Yeah, I agree.
Esterhazy, who wrote Basic Instinct, that script equally builds upon this ambiguity of Is this person the murderer or is it a red herring? That film, Basic Instinct, does that masterfully with point, counterpoint, point, counterpoint. And in this film, it feels like it's attempting to do the same thing, except now you have two potentially murderous men instead of two potentially murderous women. And it really doesn't land it, both in terms of the script, notwithstanding this different endings, but even the direction. Like, there's no world where William Baldwin isn't the murderer.
Well, except in the theatrical cut, also the unrated / director's cut, that reveals Tom Berenger killed the woman at the beginning. And it doesn't bother explaining who killed Gus, the old man professor, or Sharon Stone's neighbor, or basically anyone else who was murdered in the movie. But it does imply Tom Berenger did all this, and William Baldwin is not the murderer. He just likes to watch people in a secret surveillance room. And the movie ends with Sharon Stone shooting up the monitors in the surveillance room, then tells William Baldwin to get a life, and before she can walk completely out of frame, the movie ends. Like, it can't wait to end. Basically, Tom Berenger's the murderer in those versions, and not William Baldwin. All this is to say, this theatrical and unrated / director's cut ending, like the originally shot ending with the rooftop wedding and helicopter into a volcano, makes absolutely no sense.
No.
Mm-hmm. It's really interesting, too, because there's so much talent involved. I mean, the DP is a really seasoned DP, done some really great stuff. I know he'd done a lot of Woody Allen movies back in the day. Howard Shore did the score. I mean, he, was like a David Cronenberg collaborator. I mean, there's a lot of really great people on this film. Even the producer, even though I know he's very maligned, and I know he did not have a good relationship with Sharon Stone behind the scenes, but Bob Evans did a lot of stuff, especially back in the 60s and 70s. And I know his original idea was he really wanted Roman Polanski to direct this film, just because Sliver, and we didn't mention this either, it's based on an Ira Levin novel. So he kind of wanted to sort of like reteam, that with Polanski, of course, doing Rosemary's Baby. That, I'm curious to know like what that would have been. And again, like I never read the novel. I don't know if this Sliver script by Joe Esterhaus, I don't know if that follows closely.
It doesn't.
Yeah, I'm assuming he probably didn't, especially when you start hearing some bits of dialogue in this film. There's one really funny scene too. I actually had to write this down. I also want to give shout out to Colleen Camp. I love Colleen Camp.
Oh yeah, she's great.
Every time I see Colleen Camp, who pops up in a film, it doesn't matter how good or how bad it is, she's always playing that same sort of eccentric, no-nonsense woman. And she's so funny. And she plays Sharon Stone's friend in this film.
Yeah, I love how horny she is. It's hilarious.
She's so fucking horny. So there's a sequence in this film where Sharon Stone and William Baldwin have this very, very long sex sequence. So if you watch the unrated cut, you'll know what I mean. It goes on for minutes. So you'll know why the MPP or the MPAA was all over this. It follows to the next day, and Sharon Stone's in the office, and Colleen Camp comes running out. Literally, it opens up with her saying, and again, I had to write this down, so verbatim, she says, "You look like you just fucked your brains out. What are you smiling at, that damn eclair?" And then the Sharon Stone character says, "You've been spending too much time with that vibrator." Colleen Camp replies, "I certainly have. I'm getting a plastic yeast infection." Verbatim, okay? And that is classic Joe Esterhaus dialogue. When you watch anything written by him, Showgirls is probably like, the main sort of inspiration to like the most trashiest dialogue you've ever heard in your life. To like even Jade has it, Basic Instinct. He's just filled with this like over the top sort of colorful language, and it's just absolutely hysterical. I just wanted to give a quick shout out to Colleen Camp. I love her, and I think she's great in this small role.
Yeah, no, I love her. But because like the theatrical ending makes no sense, I went on YouTube and watched the original ending, and I was like, oh, that makes even less sense. And then I was like, okay, what happened in the novel? Like, I haven't read the novel, but I like read it up on it. So of course all the character names are changed, but basically like the Sharon Stone character has a confrontation with the William Baldwin character, and her cat Felice, who apparently is a character in the novel, intervenes and scratches the William Baldwin character's eyes, disabling him from being able to ever watch again. in the book, I guess he killed people who discovered his surveillance operation, which is not really a thing in the movie. So yeah, she's saved by her cat. Part of the problem with these endings, to me, is not so much how they ended, but either ending completely changes the motivation of every character. Neither ending makes sense.
Stone is like alone in this film. And what I mean is, it's very clear, especially if you read about the production of this goddamn film. She was not happy. Not happy with the producer, not happy with the casting. She kind of was talked into it. And of course, she got a big payday from it after the success of Basic Instinct. But yeah, the story is she wanted her acting friend who hadn't got his big break yet to be the William Baldwin character, Brad Pitt.
Who?
Very good. Director Phillip Noyce shot that down because he wanted William Baldwin from
Backdraft.
Is he in Internal Affairs as well? I think. I even was reading part of the reason some of the sex scenes between Baldwin and Stone, they're not facing each other, is because they didn't even want to be in the same room together when they were like shooting scenes. It is ridiculous. All that stuff comes through, right?
Yeah.
While I think it's very clear to say that like Baldwin is miscast, that's only half the battle. Their scenes don't work. You know, like...
You also read the point, too, where apparently she bit his lip so hard that he couldn't even, like, talk or work for several days after. That's insane, too.
I would love Sharon Stone to bite my lip. Oh, my God.
Yeah. If this is a kind of, you know, like dark love story, I said gothic romance a few minutes ago, that only works if you buy into the fact that there's romance. And I don't think the film can overcome the personalities here.
I mean, yeah, she might have had better chemistry with a different actor, but I think the problem's on the page. The relationship doesn't make sense.
No, but you'd also buy the fact that Zeke,
William Baldwin,
is a threat. William Baldwin's character is a threat. He's just a doofus.
Yeah.
He doesn't have the gravitas for it. He's not scary at all.
No.
And so like that's kind of what I mean is that like, yeah, there's the chemistry, but then it's also like he doesn't feel like he can play the heavy here. Berenger could be the heavy.
Actually, Berenger's a little campy in this film. I don't mind Berenger in this film, actually. I think he's appropriate in terms of what is required for him. I don't think he's amazing, but I think he's kind of fun and hamming it up a little bit.
But like those excesses of Berenger's character are always like unnerving in the film, right? Like when he's stalking her, like jogging, or just like little touches so that, yeah, it's over the top, but it's so restrained. It's not full force. It's like, here's a little bit, here's a little bit, and here's a little bit. Like he's okay. I don't really have a problem with him. It's more Baldwin being cast and then that relationship, which is supposed to be the heart of this film, right?
Yeah. Would it have saved it if Brad Pitt was cast? Probably not. But would it have been a more interesting film? Maybe.
Yeah, probably.
Pitt has showed us that he can play, you know, dark and brooding.
Oh, he's a good actor.
One of my favorite performances from him is California. If you guys ever seen that from again, I think it came out the same year, actually.
That's, 93.
93, yeah.
Because I first noticed him in True Romance, which is 92.
Yes, right, yeah. So, I mean, he can play those types of roles. And I think had he been cast in this, I mean, again, he can play that sort of dark, mysterious, brooding character. And I think that he could bring that to this role. So, again, it would be more interesting. Would it have worked 100% though? I don't think so.
So yeah, not thrilling.
Well, I think the sex scenes might have been hotter. They go a long way. Like, not even joking. Like, I've seen both cuts.
They do.
The director's cut with the extended sex scenes. Okay, the sex is so good she can't say no, or he can't say no, right? But with that theatrical cut, where it's like cut to shreds, I'm like, I don't get this relationship.
I know. I remember watching that with you, Adrian, and like looking over, and I'm just like, "Oh, we're still going." Okay.
Oh, I was into it.
Me too. I was just like, if we're gonna be this bad, at least just give us that. And I'm glad that they did. But what do you guys, I don't know, think about the director, Phillip Noyce? Like, how do you feel about his direction or him being the choice to do this film? You know, because I think he came off just of like Patriot Games, and so he's done a few of those sort of like espionage thrillers, and Dead Calm I thought was a terrific thriller.
I gathered it was Dead Calm.
Yeah.
And then the fact that he had made big budget studio hits with Patriot Games. Like, yeah, this guy's safe.
Who was responsible for him coming on board? Was it Stone or was it Robert Evans?
I think it was Robert Evans because I think Patriot Games was also Paramount, which came out the year before as well.
Okay.
So I'm pretty sure it's Bob Evans who is just like, this is a good sort of workman-like director. He can give you the goods. But I don't know. I sort of question if he was the right choice for this type of material. Look, I'm not saying bring back Paul Verhoeven as well, but I do miss the Verhoeven sort of excess in terms of his direction, Had they sort of chosen someone else, I think maybe it wouldn't have been like a save it type of thing because you still have that Joe Asterhouse, but it might have been better.
I don't think it works with his direction. You have all these people that don't want to work with each other working on this thing, right? Like she had it in her contract that Robert Evans couldn't even be on the set when she was there. And then you have this director that if he's the one that brought it on, I'm sure she wasn't thrilled about that. And then you have your two romantic leads that don't even want to be in the same room.
Yeah, it was a losing battle.
But I'm also of the opinion anything with Verhoeven is better.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, like it's impossible to say, would someone be better? So all we can do is say, like, what do we have? This is meant to be a thriller, and it's not. And I think that can only fall at the feet of the director. Because even with a script, the script has enough, like red herrings in it.
And interesting ideas, too.
There is enough of a central mystery, sure, both of who the killer is and who is the voyeur and what's going on with all this surveillance. But it just totally doesn't come together. That's the director.
Dion, you talked a little earlier, too, about Subplot and how you didn't think it really necessarily worked about them spying.
Yeah.
One of the very sort of sleazy subplots that we kind of get is a stepfather, I think, molesting his daughter. Yes, I totally agree with you. But at least that's sort of giving us at least something. It's kind of playing up that voyeurism aspects, good or bad, certainly illegal. I almost wish that it kind of went a little bit more in that direction. You saw her during a part of the film where she kind of comes in and watches it as well and tries to sort of tear herself away. And then she kind of gets thrust back in. And there's sort of like a montage where she's like laughing and then crying. It's almost like reality TV before it became reality TV. She knows what she's watching is not good. It's bad, but she just can't turn her head away from it. I do like all those little aspects to the film. I'm wondering if they should have played up a little bit more on that, where the film maybe would eventually went in the third act.
Probably, but that's a nuance that this film can't have because this film doesn't have nuance, right? It doesn't have moral complexity.
Yeah.
Even though like this entire subplot of the surveillance requires it. It's even brought up at one point where she confronts the William Baldwin Zeke character and kind of accosts him. And that's when he says, no, we can use surveillance for good. And that's pretty much the end of that subplot.
Yeah, it's almost like the movie's trying to have it both ways, right? So it's either they should take it in one direction or the other direction.
Yeah, it needed more. Because that isn't enough.
Yeah, seriously. I'm actually surprised that they didn't, to be honest with you.
We needed them having sex in the surveillance room, like getting off on this. Like, yeah, let's fucking watch.
I know.
Yeah, I don't know. At some point, I'm watching this movie. I just want more sex. I just want everyone like just sex all around. But do you remember how they wrap up that storyline with stepfather and the girl?
Yeah, he intervenes, doesn't he? The Baldwin character sort of.
Yeah, off screen.
Yeah, he makes a phone call. Like, yeah, again, very sloppily.
Show, don't tell. Like it's a movie. I was like, where was that scene when he tells her? Oh yeah, I talked to him. I was like, I would have liked to have seen that.
Yeah. I know. Well, this is Esterhaz, right? So come on, like just give us some of that sleaze. If you're going to go there, just do it. But
that's what was missing.
Yeah, I think that was something that was left on the cutting room floor. Or they just weren't able to shoot or something for sure.
Yeah, we needed more sleaze. I needed more sleaze.
There wasn't a lot of sleaze in this film, and that I would say might be a producer-director decision as well.
And, I think another thing with this film, too, so if you guys go back and watch, I'm just curious, did you ever watch the original theatrical trailer? Google it or go on YouTube and kind of just watch it. I think that was almost one of its main downfalls even before the film came out. Because when you watch that trailer, guess what music is playing over the entire trailer? The Jerry Goldsmith main theme from Basic Instinct is playing on the whole trailer. So it's like, yes, it's coming out a year later. We understand it's Sharon Stone, it's Joe Asterhouse, but it's just a reminder of like a better film, right? It's just reminding you of Basic Instinct. So when you watch that trailer, I'm just like, oh man, it's just like, this is the movie that I want. This is what I really want to see. Yeah, I just remember watching that, and I actually rewatched that trailer again recently, and I was like, "Fuck me, this is the Basic Instinct score," and I'm just like, I wish that they weren't doing this, just because it just again reminds me of just such a more well crafted film, from a better filmmaker as well, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't think it does the movie any favors, but I could see like the marketing strategy with that, because it's like, oh yeah, you love Basic Instinct. Here's Basic Instinct again.
Yeah, I know. Basic Instinct Part 2.
But yeah, when you said, do you remember what the music was? My guess was like that, like wise men say, that reggae that you constantly hear in this film.
Which is also a very strange choice for like a quote unquote erotic thriller.
Now, the director has said that the choice of putting UB40's I Can't Help Falling in Love with You on the soundtrack and to advertise with it is actually helped them in like European markets. Even though the film kind of tanked in North America, it definitely made money internationally. And he credits it both with restoring the footage that was cut, so the sex scenes from the North American cut, but also the music.
Well, I know that soundtrack was big, and I think it went platinum as well. I mean, it had a lot of really big electronic artists back in the day. Like I know Fluke, which is a really big sort of like underground electronic band. Enigma as well. You hear that chant, gargantuan, or how do you pronounce it? That sort of chanting, that sort of
Gregorian
chant, yeah, which Single White Female the year before used a lot of that type of thing. Massive Attack, the big sex scene, Massive Attack is playing over that. So there was a lot of really big artists at that time. And I know that soundtrack. I think now that movie, Sliver, is probably best known for its behind the scenes drama and its soundtrack more than anything.
What's Gregorian mean?
It's a type of monk.
Yeah, and there's all that like weird chanting, like the
oh,
it's like a sect of monk.
Yeah, it's like a haunting sort of chant.
Like an Eyes Wide Shut.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and they're just using this like sort of monk chanting during these sex scenes, which is also kind of ironic too. It's very strange, very strange.
Well, that's this movie. It's very strange. Do you guys have any final thoughts on Sliver?
It's confusing.
I think it is confusing, but I still think even though it's very confusing, I don't know. I still think, yes, it's a mess, but never at one point watching this movie, I have to say I was bored. I was always very entertained by it, whether if it's for the good or the bad or the confusing. I always just think this movie is super entertaining. And it still is interesting just to sort of see Sharon Stone in a completely different role compared to, again, her Catherine Trammell role from Basic Instinct the year before. I understand maybe that's why it sort of attracted her, just to sort of pull on her acting chops a little bit more and give her an opportunity to do something a little bit different. Yes, another payday as well. And I also do think that there was something in her contract too that specified that if she wasn't a fan or she didn't like how some of these sex scenes were going, she actually had final say in what she could do or what she could not do in terms of showing on the screen. So it's interesting to sort of see her. Again, it's a well-scored film. It's a well-shot film. There is talent going on here behind. It's such a shame that the behind-the-scenes drama, I think, was one of the main reasons why it sort of tampered sort of the overall film. That and the Esterhaus script, which is just a complete mess. But there are some really interesting ideas happening in this film, for sure. I do love the voyeurism aspect, the mystery, even though how it sort of unveiled, it was just a complete mess. But it still did had that sort of Hitchcock, mystery and undertone. So I think with all of that, is it worth seeing? I mean, it's sort of an interesting footprint into erotic thrillers in the 90s. Does it hold up to Basic Instinct or even Fatal Attraction, which are sort of put on the main pedestal? Absolutely not. But I sort of would maybe put it in line with some of the other, mid-tier erotic thrillers that came out around that time, like The Temp, which is a little bit of a guilty pleasure, trashy movie, even The Crush as well. So I think it sort of fits sort of comfortably in there in terms of it being, a little bit mediocre. But again, is it a good movie? No. Is it fun, entertaining? I would say, yeah, it is.
Yeah, I would agree. I enjoyed watching it. There's also just something about watching movies from the 90s now where there's something nostalgia just about that time to go back and watch stuff made back then. It's like a little hug.
Comforting.
Yeah.
I was going to say something similar, that like there's a nostalgia to it. There's also kind of an innocence to it. In kind of like a pre-internet, pre-whoever is surveilling us, Google or Apple, who's listening on everything we say. And
well, we're all surveilling each other now.
Yeah, but it just, because that moral complexity isn't in the film, it's just like, oh yeah, remember when?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
Remember the good old days?
And just like this idea that it is a snapshot in time. This is the beginning of the ball rolling down the hill to the death of the genre, right?
Oh, yeah.
After that high point of Basic Instinct, there's nowhere to go but down.
Yeah. We needed more going down in this film.
You mean?
Oh, you know what I mean.
The elevator.
Exactly.
And it kind of petered out towards the end of the 90s. You didn't really see too much of these films theatrically coming out in the 2000s. There still was a few things here and there, but yeah, it's all direct to video. Even now, it's streaming services like, Netflix and Prime will release the occasional thing here and there. And it sort of gives you almost a reminder of how big this genre was in the 90s.
All that said, this was a surprise, a big Razzie contender at the 14th annual Golden Raspberry Awards. Now, this thing had several nominations, but it only won one Golden Raspberry. It was nominated for Worst Picture, Worst Director, Worst Actor, William Baldwin, Worst Actress, Worst Supporting Actor, Tom Berenger, Worst Supporting Actress, Scott, Colleen Camp.
I know. They did not like her.
Definitely do not agree with that.
No, she's amazing. She's so fun.
And Worst Screenplay. Do you have any guesses on what it won?
Didn't it not win everything?
Those were all the nominations for it, but it only took home one Golden Raspberry.
Really? I mean, I really would love to have seen William Baldwin take it.
Actor.
It would be ironic if it was Sharon Stone, considering,
It was not Sharon Stone. The Razzie it won, Worst Screenplay.
Oh, okay.
Joe Esterhaus, which I totally agree with.
Yeah, that makes sense, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not wrong. I mean, it is fun, but yeah, it's not very, it's a confusing, complicated screenplay. So that needed a lot more time to flesh things out, for sure.
Yeah. Or a cat, apparently.
Yeah.
The tagline for Sliver: you like to watch ... Don't you? Not a question.
Not a question.
No.
Oh.
I knew you were going to ask.
I was going to ask. No, I don't like it.
I would say it's there's watching in this film. I don't know who it's directed to.
The audience?
The audience?
And the answer is probably not. If the answer was yes, more people would have seen it.
Well, again, it's not a question.
How much did this make? Like, I don't think it made nearly the amount of money as Basic Instinct, but I think it did make back its money. It did okay, I think, right?
I think, God, you can look this.
I know you said it did better in the European markets, right?
Yeah, I think it basically, and again, this was from the Phillip Noyce interview on the Vinegar Syndrome disc. I think he said something like it basically made its budget back domestically, which means it lost money because of advertising and everything else.
Yes.
And then it made overall about 130 million worldwide. So in other words, if the budget was about 30, it made about double that worldwide based on the, compared to the domestic.
Yeah, Sliver took home domestically 36 million.
It didn't do well.
21% on Rotten Tomatoes. Not surprising. Pretty hated, I think, by most people.
Yeah. Place and time.
There you go. You can't win them all, right?
You say that, and some streaming service will remake it.
Yeah, they'll bring back William Baldwin.
And he'll play the Tom Berenger role.
And Tom Berenger will play Martin Landau.
Yeah, I was going to say.
So that is what we thought about Sliver, but we'd like to know what you think. Please reach out either at email at cultfilmschoolpodcast@gmail.com or talk to us on one of those social media platforms you use.
Who, me?
Yeah, you.
Oh, I don't use social media.
Well, neither do I. What do I care?
We're such good endorsers. Is that a word? Okay, The Crush. So if you go on IMDb It'll say, a journalist becomes the unwanted center of attention for a 14-year-old girl who proceeds to sabotage his life after he refuses her sexual advances. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
It's a pretty simple plot. So, I mean, this one, unlike Sliver, there's no real sort of surprises. What you see is what you get.
Yeah, that's literally the movie.
Done.
Yeah.
Hey, so we're done. Great.
So that was The Crush. Yeah. If you can reach us on whatever. Okay. So let's start with the erotic thriller. How is The Crush an erotic thriller? Yeah, Sliver, there was a lot of voyeurism. This one, I would say this one dives more into the more femme fatale archetype with the sexual obsession stuff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It also kind of echoes the Glenn Close archetype that we see in Fatal Attraction.
Absolutely.
It's like Fatal Attraction for teens. Except in this movie, kind of like the take is it's a teenage femme fatale with a Lolita sort of inversion because she's a young girl into an older guy.
Do you know who I think would have loved this movie? Woody Allen.
He could have directed this.
Oh man, yeah.
If him and Roman Polanski teamed up, The Crush. Yeah, didn't Woody Allen make a movie about he had a relationship with like a really young girl?
Well, yeah, Manhattan. I know it was Mariel Hemingway.
Mariel Hemingway, right? She was really young.
I think she was 17. So I think it was like just.
Yeah, but she's dating Woody Allen, right?
I know. And he was probably in his like late 40s back when that movie was made, probably.
Yeah. So I'm sure he was a big fan of The Crush.
Pretty cringy for sure.
Yeah. So any thoughts on how this movie fits the erotic thriller mold outside of kind of the femme fatale angle?
I mean, I think you literally nailed it with all your points. But yeah, like I just want to echo.
I tend to do that on my takes, Scott.
I know. I just want to echo the same. But yes, like the femme fatale, the sort of dangerous like obsession, took all the words out of my mouth. All of that fits in perfectly with what you've said.
Yeah, like there's not a whole lot to this film. Like, temptation versus morality.
Yeah.
Violation of social norms. It's kind of the ballpark it's playing in.
I watched Basic Instinct before we recorded this, so I just watched it yesterday.
Mm.
And there's a line that Jeannie Triplehorn, the psychologist, says to Michael Douglas about Catherine Trammell, so like the femme fatale in that film, and she says something. The quote is like, "She's evil and she's brilliant."
Oh yeah,
yeah.
That evil and brilliant. As soon as I saw this, I was like, yeah, no, this is the archetype, right?
Yeah.
It's not just a femme fatale, but it's a femme fatale like she's like Mensa level intelligence. She knows everything. She knows languages. She can like hotwire cars. Like whatever it is, she can do it. Effectively, she is like not human, right? She's like a superhuman. And that's kind of helpful to see her as monstrous because that's what this film wants to do. I also saw Fatal Attraction recently, and Fatal Attraction is interesting because it opens up this space where the Glenn Close character is not a monster.
Well, that was the original idea.
Yeah, like the Glenn Close character is sympathetic to a degree, and then, of course, with reshoots and everything else, she turns, and then she's a big villain. That nuance, that's not in The Crush.
It's funny. I almost forgot that it's because they kind of mention it, but they don't really do anything with it either than it just gives answers to how she's able to do the things she does in the film, is that she's a genius.
Yeah.
Like, where does that come from? And is there any connection to her intelligence to...
The script.
Well, yeah, okay, the script. Her intelligence to her obsessions, right? Because we know that she has Carrie Elways.
Yes, Elways.
Okay, Dion looked it up. That's how you pronounce it.
Elways, Carrie Elways. From Princess Bride and Robin Hood Men in Tights.
Robin Hood Men in Tights comes out the same year.
Mm-hmm. It does.
And Black Christmas.
Yes.
We're not going to talk about that. Don't go there. So, like, he's the current obsession, and then we learn that she had a past obsession with like a camp counselor or something, and something bad happened to him, and then when the film ends, she's obsessed with her new doctor kind of thing. But like, they don't really deep dive into like, does her intelligence have anything to do with her crushes, her obsessions? Like, is it from this like kind of boredom or something? Like, they don't kind of do anything with that.
Yeah, no, the film doesn't care.
Yeah, it's very surface level.
Yeah.
Just give her a bag of wasps. Have her go to town.
I just think that she's like a spoiled upper class brat, really. I think she's bored. She feels like she doesn't have any consequences. She can get away with doing whatever she wants. I think that's kind of what she thrives on. I mean, that's sort of my take when I watch the film. You know, she basically has her parents wrapped around her finger. So again, I feel like her, you know, she doesn't really have any sort of consequences for her actions. You know, her parents don't believe that she's capable of these things. You know, her best friend knows better. Her only friend.
That's actually part of it, though. Like her parents, with that whole stupid subplot of the merry-go-round in the attic.
Yeah.
Yeah, how'd he get it up there?
Well, he says he brought it up piece by piece, and then when he constructed it, he couldn't remove it.
Yeah.
The only thing about that, he creates it for his daughter when she's like a child, and it kind of freezes in his mind this idea that his daughter is an innocent child.
Mm-hmm.
And even though his daughter is changing before his eyes and is manipulative and everything else, he doesn't see it, right? Like their family doesn't see it.
And there's that funny scene too, where Elways is up there with the father. He's, you know, talking about how she's blossoming, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I noticed." And the scene before, he was just downstairs trying to find a picture of him and his grandfather, thinking, "Oh my God, she took it." And of course, you know, she senses that he's there in the closet watching her. He gets naked. And the father's like, "Yeah, she's been really blossoming over the last year." And he's like, "Oh yeah, I've noticed." And you're kind of like, "Oh my God, like this is like a grown-ass man." And then the father is like, what does he say? He's like dreading the knock on the front door about, you know, her first boyfriend taking her out. And he's standing there with his hard on. It's just so hilarious. It's so funny. So badly written too. But damn, it's funny.
Yeah, I think it's an erotic thriller, but I don't think it's erotic or thrilling.
No, I think it teases at those things, but it's neither of those.
I think it works as a melodrama.
Yeah, like an after-school special.
I don't know. It's not. There's no real surprises in this thing or twists. So you just have this, you know, taboo relationship, right? It kind of falls short because it plays with these ethical like gray areas. So as evil as Silverstone's character is, Elway's character, who we're supposed to be following and have his back, he's an adult, she's a child, and the things he kind of does in this movie with her kind of stretch his credibility, where he's kind of hard to be on board with some of the things he does in this film. Like, how many red flags have to happen before he even like speaks up to like either her parents or the cops, or making boundaries with this child, taking her away from the party to go take her out to the lighthouse. And he's our hero.
Yeah, you're pretty much almost rooting for her more. You're the adult. You should have known better.
We kind of don't know who to root for is kind of my point, right?
Yeah. But I think just sort of piggybacking on what you were saying in terms of like the moral grounds, you know, sort of the gray area. I think that's maybe one of the things about this film that I actually like the most is that treading the fine lines of being respectable and not. It's fascinating. And some of the situations that he allows himself to sort of get into against his better judgment, or even if he thinks, oh no, this is tame, it's okay. Or, you know, like, no, I never gave her the wrong impression. I remember there was that scene with him and his girlfriend, who also works at the newspaper.
Magazine, yeah.
Or he's a
journalist.
Journalist, yeah.
Well, that's the thing. He's a journalist.
Yeah.
He's an investigative journalist, and these red flags don't, you know?
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah. But she even says, well, you know, it seems like she has a crush on you. And he's just like, oh, no. And she's like, oh, yeah, I've been down this, you know, I essentially saying like, yes, she does. You have to be the adult. You need to draw the line. You need to know where to draw the line. And yet he's always teetering on that fine line between crossing it. So you don't really root for him at the end of the day. Obviously, everything she's doing is, morally bad and also very devious. There's a few aspects of this film where it does sort of hinge on the more sleazier aspects, where Carrie Elway's character and his girlfriend have a sleepover. Clearly, they're, you know, had sex, and it's closer towards the climax of the film where Alicia Silverstone character is accusing Nick, the Carrie Elway's character, of raping her, molesting her. And he gets arrested and, you know, is being interrogated, and the police are like, oh, we found semen inside of her. And, you know, his response is, well, she must have like stolen a used condom from the garbage and inserting herself with this. I mean, that's really devious, real sleazy stuff for a movie that's, yeah, not really erotic, not really titillating, but then it sprinkles in these things that are really pervy and kind of make your skin crawl and feel a little bit cringy. So it's almost like it's kind of sort of having its cake and eating it too. You know, it's really trying, working overtime to be these things, which is not, but then it's kind of playing with sort of like this moral ground. It's pretty, it's skeezy is what it is. It's quite skeezy.
While still being tame.
Yes, while still being tame. Yeah.
Like, this is also its problem. It wants to be sexploitation, but it can't commit to it because of the underage lead.
Yeah, like I'm with you, like in terms of what it's playing with.
Yeah.
Like is interesting, but it's like Sliver. It's like I need another draft, just one more draft,
more than one.
Get Esther House on this thing.
Yeah, there you go. Now we're talking NC-17 territory.
There's no the problem. The problem with the things that it's treading with, although interesting, there's no motivation explored. Why are the characters doing this? Right?
Yeah.
Both for her, there's no psychological depth at all, which is interesting because they give enough bits and pieces. Why is she a genius? You know, and then with him, you know, giving him like he's an investigative journalist, right? Who he cannot see any of these red flags, and he's a pretty reactive character. Like we kind of don't get any emotional complexity with him. Like, why is he being this naive with her? Does he like it? It doesn't push you in one way or the other, so it just leaves you kind of like hanging on.
Yeah.
So we never really understand any inner conflict in him. I don't even know if we see. Maybe this is too harsh. I'm like, I don't even know if we see growth in him.
I don't think we do. No.
I mean, but again, there aren't really characters, right? Because, like, to your point,
well, he's just reacting to everything that's happening around him.
They're more just like archetypes.
Yeah, like it's not clear, aside from him being a piece of meat in front of her, what's interesting to her about him.
Right.
He's not presented in a way that there's anything alluring or interesting. He's just like a schlub, which is proven, right? When she ends up rewriting his article.
Hence the genius quality.
Yeah, I just need another draft because it's like, that was interesting because, again, like, there's a lot of interesting things in it. It just doesn't really kind of necessarily do anything with the interesting things it has. It's like she rewrites his article and he's pissed, but the thing is his boss loves it and it's doing good things for his career. But then it stops there. It's not like she's using her ability to help his career to get any sort of sexual like advances from him or attention from him or anything. Like, she doesn't, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, no, I do. Because I as soon as you said that, his career, I was thinking, there's also that weird subplot where his big exclusive interview and all his notes and his article is deleted. And then he has to like basically spend all night cramming for the paper to get it into, the next morning. I was totally expecting that Adrian, not you, the character,
Alicia
Silverstone's character, has some connection or interaction with the interview subject, right? The connected political guy that he's had the big, but like, it's just kind of dropped and it's all like off screen.
Yeah, it's more of, this movie kind of plays out more of like a series of just like small little vignettes, like strung together as like a cohesive movie. It's kind of just like one little sort of fun scene after the next. But yeah, like you guys were saying, had it had a more like nuanced director, another draft at the screenplay, I think this movie could have just been, again, like another fun sort of from hell type of movie. And this is exactly what this movie is. You know, it's a from hell film, like a lot of these movies were back in the 90s, you know, like Pacific Heights, which is like The Tenant from hell, Hand That Rocks a Cradle, The Nanny from hell, The Temp, you know, with Laura Flynn Boyle, The Temp from hell, right? So they're doing so many of these kind of films. So this is literally following on the coattails of that. This subgenre really sort of came to a head in, 92, 93. I guess like mileage sort of varies depending on, script, depending on the actual stories. But this is, I think, one of the lesser of, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Agreed.
Oh, my God. And hilariously dubbed, too. The voices that these characters dub over her original name. So for anybody who doesn't know, the original character's name was Darian. And the reason why they had to change it is because the writer and director, Alan Shapiro, very, very loosely based this on an event or events that happened in his own life. So apparently he was, I guess like the Nick character, he was renting a property, and the family that he rented the property from, the girl's name was Darian. What a shocker there. And I guess apparently he didn't give into sort of advances. So she got so pissed to the point where she carved into his car, "Alan sucks cock." That's what she did. And very similarly to the film, The Crush, she writes, I think it's cocksucker on his car.
You know what I never understood? Why is the term cocksucker used as an insult? Like cocksucking, that's the nicest thing you can do for a guy.
Oh my God, absolutely. Yeah. I think that's pretty much as far as it went, but I know years later, writer-director Alan Shapiro was married, kind of pounding the pavement as like a TV writer and director, and was trying to break it out into Hollywood. And his wife's like, "Hey, remember that incident that happened to you years ago? That girl had a crush on you, and she like carved, you like to suck cock in your car?" And he's like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Well, can you use that as like a base idea for a script?" And he's like, "That might be sort of interesting." So lo and behold, that's what he did. So he wrote a screenplay based on that. Foolishly for him, though, he ended up using her name. And I guess when the film came out, I don't know if it's actually the girl that he based it on or her family, but they ended up suing Morgan Creek, which is a studio that produced The Crush. One of the stipulations is, I guess when the film came out onto the home video market or whatever, they had to change the name Darian to Adrian. So I found that kind of interesting because, again, like I was saying to you guys at the beginning of the show, and I really wish that I still had this, but I owned a copy of The Crush on VHS. And the character in the film was Darian. And even on the back slip, like in the synopsis, it actually had her character as Darian. So I don't know if it came out later on, like when VHS sort of became DVD and Blu-ray. Maybe that was at that point where they kind of were taking out the original Darian name. But even if you go on YouTube and watch trailers now, you can still find original trailers that have her original name. But yeah, when you're watching the film, it's hilariously dubbed over. I mean, I can't tell you how many different voices, even the Carrie Elways character, says her name. And it's like maybe like 10 or 12 different people that keep saying Adrian from his point of view. It's very funny. And also, too, I read, so Silverstone was, so like she plays 14 in the film, right? Apparently, I also read that she emancipated herself so she could actually work regular adult hours on this film, which was something sort of uncommon at that time for teen actors to do. But she successfully did it. Yeah, and this is also her film debut, too. So, given the material and what she's been given with, I actually think that she does a pretty good job.
She is the thing that holds the film together. Without the heavy, this film is nothing. So to that end, she kind of carries the film. And the fact that she is, 15 or 16, and that it's her first feature, yeah, she's got it, as they say.
And she did a lot of these other roles, I guess, following this, with a lot of like direct-to-video movies. There was one called True Crime. I don't know if you've heard of that, with Kevin Dillon. She plays like a high school student and ends up getting involved with Kevin Dillon, and they're trying to track down this like killer. And then she did another one called, I think it's called The Babysitter. I know JT Walsh is in that, like a great character actor from back in the day. She's always playing these women that, within these films are just not like femme fatales really, although of course in The Crush she is, but just really overly sexualized. She's always being viewed from all these older men. It's quite sleazy. I think that was before her other breakout role, which was Clueless, and that sort of took her career in a whole other direction within the later 90s.
The Babysitter came out the same year as Clueless. When I'm looking at the poster for The Babysitter, I remember this from video stores.
Wow, really?
Back in the 90s, yeah.
You remember that? I remember that poster as well, yeah.
Yeah, you guys are both older than me, so...
I would love to just quickly talk about the climax and like the last little scene. Dion was mentioning a while ago about her father building her this sort of, what do you call it? Like a carnival with like the horses.
Merry-go-round,
yes. And how it's just like absurd of the fact that this huge structure is up in the attic of this house. It's absolutely insane. The Nick character is essentially going up there to save Adrian, or AKA Darian's friend, up there. And in the midst of all of it, the dad is trying to get up as well. And Nick, he ends up punching the Alicia Silverstone's character in the face, and she literally goes flying across the room. Absolutely hysterical. And then from there, she ends up in an institution. The institution stuff is kind of interesting because you see her getting help from a doctor, I guess slowly getting over the crush from the Carrie Elway's Nick character. And now the focus is going to be on the doctor, basically showing this is the new victim. This vicious cycle and this pattern will continue. It doesn't matter who it is. Love the last shot of this film as well. Adrian, aka Darian, just looking at the camera, smirking, the camera slowly panning into her eyes as the camera's fading out. It's sort of an eerie image. I wish that the film had maybe more of that. It's more of like a slick crowd teaser than an actual thriller. It's a movie that I think mainly works just because of the Alicia Silverstone casting and performance. I actually do think she's quite good in this film. I just wish that the film was as good as she is, to be honest.
Yeah, we've said on this podcast before, everything after Psycho is Psycho.
Absolutely.
That ending where she's looking into the frame and a slight smirk comes across her face, that's the ending of Psycho.
Yeah.
She couldn't even hurt a fly, or in this case, a wasp.
And I can't see that merry-go-round climax and not think Strangers on a Train. Except in Strangers on a Train, right? Farley Granger isn't punching out the female lead and throwing her across the room. But yeah, this thing, even that climactic beat, it can only work as comedy because it's so over the top. If anything, the film is kind of restrained in a weird way. So like that almost like screams out even more.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is restrained, which is too bad because I feel like throughout the entirety of the film, it definitely sort of hinges on some of the more sleazier aspect.
It wants to.
It wants to, like with her, committing these, terrible acts of violence on the people who threaten to get in her way. But also she accuses the Nick character of raping her and they found semen inside her. Well, how did that get up in there? She obviously clearly snuck into his apartment, took that condom out of the trash, and then put it inside her. So it's a very sleazy, disturbing thought.
Well, that's just it. Off screen.
Mm-hmm, exactly. Off screen.
But even stealing the condom is off screen.
Yeah.
And it's only what the Carrie Elway's Nick character assumes happened.
Yes, it's all speculation.
We don't know. Is he truthful? I mean, I guess the film makes us assume he is.
Yeah. Well, what you see is what you get in this film, like Scott said. So
absolutely.
Yes, that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
But yeah. I just don't know with like that moment where she's smiling, like is because the film doesn't go any which way into like her psychology. Is it just she's smiling and has that power that she's controlling, whatever that power is, or is it some sort of like obsession transference, right? Like now she's obsessing over the doctor. I don't know.
No, I definitely think I don't think this movie is that smart. So nor is the screenplay that smart. It really is what you see is what you get, which is not always necessarily a bad thing.
Do you two have any final thoughts on The Crush?
It needs characters to do the things you're asking, Adrian. And it doesn't really. I mean, it has like types.
Yeah, archetypes for sure.
That's the other thing we haven't mentioned. She is a variant of the evil child.
The bad seed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And that was going on at this time too.
That gets transposed with the erotic thriller femme fatale here.
Like Poison Ivy, which came out a year before. And
exactly, yeah.
To a different extent, The Good Son as well.
Yeah. There's a lot of those around this time. Mikey.
Yeah.
Clifford.
I mean, yeah, that would fall in the same, they just took a comedic approach, but again, it's the same structure, really, when you think about it. I think this movie, it hints at being something better and more than the sum of its parts. I wish that it went there, but just doesn't, unfortunately. It's always kind of holding back just enough. But the recipe's there for me. It's good campy fun at the end of the day.
The tagline of The Crush. He thought it was just a crush. He was dead wrong. Was he?
Was he dead wrong?
No one dies. They get hurt.
Yeah.
It was just a crush.
Yeah.
Still, like, as a tagline, it's totally serviceable. Like, even though it literally doesn't work, it's fine.
Yeah. It's like, this is what it is, and this is what it is.
Yeah, okay. So that was our discussion on The Crush. What's your take on our take? Let us know. You can reach us on the socials or by email, cultfilmschoolpodcast@gmail.com. 1990s erotic thrillers, Sliver and The Crush. All right, so my take. These movies, they didn't just surf the erotic thriller wave. They were basically riding shotgun at its wildest peak. I think they work in terms of they capture this era's obsession with blurred moral lines, seductive power struggles, and thrill watching or being watched. You get that classic 90s recipe, erotic tension, suspense, taboo relationships wrapped in stylized sleaze. But in the grand landscape of the 1990s erotic thriller, Sliver and The Crush occupy like a pretty interesting space, albeit flawed. They both try to cash in on the boom started by the heavy hitters like Fatal Attraction, like Basic Instinct. But instead of redefining the genre, they kind of landed somewhere in between cult classic and cautionary tale. But hey, sometimes those imperfections are what make the 90s erotic thrillers so endlessly entertaining and so endlessly watchable, which I think with all their flaws, both of these are. That's all I got.
I think it's interesting to see these films again as both like a snapshot of a period, of a genre and of a time that's no longer. The metaphor of archaeology is kind of apt, right? Because like these things are dead and long gone. To go back to them, especially these films, which come as the erotic thriller is hitting its zenith, its highest point with Basic Instinct, and is now kind of on a downward trajectory to oblivion. Literally, it's kind of almost disappeared by the end of the decade. It's interesting to kind of see these things as both exercises in genre and also playing within what the genre does in a way that now seems quaint. Anything from like Big Brother surveillance to teen sexuality. It's been a couple decades, 30 years since these things came out. There's something kind of nostalgic and even comforting about going back to these, even though, these aren't the highest points of genre excellence. There's still stuff to like, if not love, in some of these misfires.
Yeah. Some of these movies were making millions and millions of dollars at the box office back in the 80s and 90s. And now the box office is dominated mostly by superhero films and probably horror to a lesser extent. But this type of movie, it just doesn't really exist anymore. With some streaming services, once in a blue moon, they'll kind of bring a film like Pretty Thing. There you go, which is it's a Shout Select. It's a streaming film starring Alicia Silverstone, actually, of all people.
Do we see her Silverstone, Scott?
Unfortunately not. Again, a little too tame of a film. You got to go back to these more edgier, raunchy movies to see a little bit more than that. But yeah, it's definitely a genre I love, and I certainly miss it. I am curious to know from your perspectives as well. Aside from these movies, what are some of your own personal highlights of the erotic thriller or the neo-noir thriller or any thriller genre within the 90s? Like, what are some of your favorites?
I mean, not to state the obvious, Basic Instinct is on a level unto itself. But the other film that came into my orbit through my membership to the Columbia House Movie Club, Adam Egoyan's Exotica.
Ooh, yeah, that's a great little film.
And yeah, wow.
Following a bunch of eccentric characters at this strip club. Yeah, really interesting film.
I don't think I recall much of it now, but I just remember like kind of like a mood, a tone. But yeah, Basic Instinct. Yeah, like that thing is just put it in my veins, right? Put it in my veins.
Oof. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, Verhoeven could do no wrong. Yeah, my favorite erotic thriller from the 90s also came out in 93 called Blown Away with the two Coreys and Nicole Eggert. It was a teenage Fatal Attraction, and it's so hot.
Well, do you see the two Corys?
We see Corey's Haim. We see the full Haim.
You see Eggert's Eggert?
Oh my God. Both eggs.
Wow.
We see a lot of... There's actually a lot of nudity in that film. A surprising amount.
Who could ask for anything more?
There's a really nice scene with like a stuffed duck.
Oh, shit.
I'll just leave it at that.
Wow. I mean, my mind's already going crazy right now.
It's like Last Tango in Paris, but instead of a stick of butter,
With
they
a
use a duck. Yeah, it was a hell of a time.
An embarrassment of riches.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
How about you, Scott? Aside from Sliver and the Crush, what are some of your other favorite 1990s erotic thrillers?
I think, I don't know, a couple of my favorites. Bound, I think, was a terrific sort of erotic neo-noir thriller. Actually, the Wachowskis, I think, debut film. Perfectly cast, super stylish, really, really well directed. You know, Gina Gershon, Jennifer Tilly, lesbian lovers.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they're just like a match made in heaven. Yeah, very, very good performances there. Also, Single White Female is another staple from that genre. 92, same year as Basic Instinct. Stylish erotic thriller, some with like neo-noir touches. Jennifer Jason Leigh, Bridget Fonda, both are just pitch perfect in this film. Quick side note, that building that they shot in was the same building that they shot Rosemary's Baby in. So That's another interesting tidbit for you guys. But just too much to choose from.
Oh, definitely.
Agreed.
Scott, thanks for joining us today and bringing the sweaty, seductive world of 1990s erotic thrillers to Cult Film School.
Oh my God, anytime. Thank you so much for having me, guys. It was such a fun pleasure, not only talking about these movies, but just talking about the genre as a whole. I love it dearly and wish that it still existed today.
Yeah, me too. But yeah, we couldn't have asked for a better guide through the land of 90s surveillance and sexy saxophone scores and sleaze.
Thank you. Do you have anything to plug, Scott?
Would you like to be followed?
I do not. However, I am on social media, so if anyone wants to, they can follow me. I'm not too active on there, but I don't know, maybe I'm just a voyeur myself. But if you guys would like to follow me, I am at the Scotty DG on Instagram.
Would you like to plug your OnlyFans?
Yes, I'm joking. No. If only I had OnlyFans.
Dion, what about you?
Yeah, Dion, what's your OnlyFans?
I'm saving it for the off season.
Okay.
Yeah, so thanks again. This was fun.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, thanks, Scott. We'll have you on again.
Oh my God. I would absolutely love to.
And to all our listeners, thank you for another great semester of Cult Film School.
Yay.
This is right. This is our last episode of semester 4.
This is the end of the year and semester.
We'll be back next semester with more cult classics, deep cuts, and cinematic treasures.
And garbage.
Thank you, Dion. I don't know what all that means exactly, but it sounded good when I wrote it.
Sounds amazing to me.
Thank you, Scott. See, this is why I have you on. Need some backup here. Until then, to our Cult Film School listeners, stay tuned, stay subscribed, and keep your eyes peeled and ears open. Did I say that right?
Ears peeled, eyes open.
Right.
Or just everything open.
Keep it all open.
Little cliffhanger. And remember, if an attractive stranger invites you into a high rise full of hidden cameras, you're either in an erotic thriller or a lawsuit waiting to happen. I'll cut that.
Yeah.
Stay weird, stay culty. I don't know. What other sign off do you want?
Stay around.
Yeah, just stay. Thanks for listening to this episode of Cult Film School. Leave a rating and review for the show and subscribe to the podcast to be the first to know when the next episode drops.
Follow us on Letterboxd and our social media, all at Cult Film School, and reach out with opinions on the films we covered in today's show and ideas for cult films we might cover in future episodes at cultfilmschoolpodcast@gmail.com. See you next time. Class dismissed.